Hi, so today we're going to be talking about the coconut palm. The coconut palm, also known as Cocos nucifera, is a palm tree that produces the ever-famous coconut. Here you can see down here what coconuts look like. Now, coconut trees are very unique. They are one of the most economically valuable and important plants in the world. In fact, they were one of the earliest domesticated plants. So, coconuts were originally cultivated thousands of years ago, most likely by the people of Southeast Asia or Madagascar. Although today the coconut palm range extends across all tropical areas along the all tropical coastal areas around the world. The coconut itself, which I have one of them here, is not technically a fruit, but a druple. And the seed itself is what you generally see at supermarkets, that hairy chunk of wood. Now the seed is the largest seed in the plant kingdom, and the way it propagates is that the coconut palm will drop a coconut into the water, and it'll float around where it needs to go. Because the fruit itself is salt hardy, it can't grow in salt water, but it'll survive an ocean voyage. The coconut can actually propagate across the ocean. And in addition to that, the plant itself is pretty salt hardy as well, which allows it to grow along coastlines. As you can see here, the soil that I've planted this in is not ideal for this plant. It is a little bit too rich. Coconut palms in general prefer to have sandy soil, which makes them ideal for coastal regions. They like to have a lot of water, a lot of humidity, and a lot of heat, which makes them ideal for growing in tropical areas. Now, if you manage to grow a coconut palm, you will be greeted with a beautiful, huge plant. Let's go take a look. Over here, you can see a full-grown coconut palm. Now, this palm, I don't know how old it is, but take a look. It is massive, absolutely beautiful. Now, this tree lives generally about 80 years, and it takes about 8 years to start producing fruit. By which I mean coconuts. So that palm tree's not not young by any means. Now, if you're lucky and you live in an area where coconuts can be easily grown outdoors, like South Florida, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, or the Virgin Islands, you don't really have to worry too much about it because you pretty much have to try to stop these things from growing. If they fall on sandy soil, they will just sprout and grow. The weather here is just ideal for them, right? You'll see these all over the place, and in fact, whenever they drop their coconuts, you can definitely hear it. You don't generally want to park your car under a coconut palm if you're not going to be harvesting the coconuts. However, if you live further north, so in zone 8 or less, you're not really going to be able to grow these outside because these are not frost-tolerant plants. They are okay with salty soil, they are okay with a lot of things, but they are not okay with frost. In fact, they won't grow anywhere where the average daily temperature is below 18 degrees centigrade, and they won't bear fruit until the average daily temperature is 22 degrees centigrade. So that's 18 is in the 60s, and 22, it's like 64, and 22 is in the lower 70s. So these really are not plants that you can grow anywhere outside of the warmest areas of the United States if you want to grow them outdoors. However, if you do live in an area further north and you want to grow them, the easiest way to do that is to take the coconut itself and stick it in a bag, so like a plastic bag, with a wet paper towel. And you want to take that plastic bag and stick it in a warm location in your house. What that does is it mimics the natural environment where coconut palms grow, right? Because the heat will heat up the water in the bag and produce a nice moist environment for the coconut to sprout. After that, you would have to keep the coconut palm indoors, and it wouldn't grow very large because you're going to have to keep it in a pot. Now, one of the things that makes the coconut palm excellent, and I mean absolutely excellent, to grow in areas like Florida, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, is the fact that they are extremely resistant to hurricanes. The coconut palm, on the other hand, has a few adaptations which make it very resistant to hurricanes. Number one, that you can't actually see, is the root system. Palm trees in general tend to have a very wide and shallow root system, which lets them grip the earth very strongly whenever a hurricane is blowing sideways on it, right? Another adaptation that coconut palms have is the fiber in their trunks. You can see they're very fibrous, even here. And what that allows them to do is that these long fibers allow the tree to bend back and forth with the wind. So whenever a hurricane is blowing on them, they just bend with the wind and snap right back up, where a traditional woody tree would have just snapped. And finally, you can see the shape of the leaves. These long, thin leaves have two different purposes. Number one, they let the coconut palm survive in very sunny areas where most plants would have burns on their leaves from the sun. But during a hurricane, these leaves don't provide a lot of surface area for the winds to catch on and damage the leaves. So whenever they're being blown on, these guys will they'll be totally fine. The wind will blow straight through them and they'll be okay. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to keeping a plant healthy than just watering it, which these plants do love a lot of water. You just want to make sure they're well drained, is fertilizer, right? All plants need to have nutrients in the soil, and palm trees, different to most other plants, require a particular type of fertilizer which is heavy in magnesium. That's why you might have heard a lot of people say that you can use Epsom salt to fertilize palm trees, because Epsom salts are a magnesium salt. Generally speaking, whenever you get palm tree fertilizer, that fertilizer will have a high amount of magnesium in it, allowing the plant to grow stronger and healthier. A nice side effect of that as well is that the leaves grow greener when they have a sufficient amount of magnesium. So it's really a wonderful plant. I hope you get to grow it, particularly if you're down here in the tropics. But yeah, let me know. If you have any tips or tricks, feel free to share them in the comments. Go ahead and subscribe if you like hearing about plants, technology, or any other of the weird things that I like to upload about. Take care. Bye.